Okay, this is the watch list video for Wednesday, September 15th, starting off with the daily SPY as I always do. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and show you something. So 3 days ago, the SPY, here's the close. So the next day, gapped up, sold off. The next day, gapped up, sold off. And today, gapped up and sold off. So there's definitely some selling pressure on the SPY. That green line is very close to the 50-day, and you should notice how well the SPY has bounced off of that area though. So are we due for a bounce, a gap up tomorrow, or maybe a gap down? To me would be ideal, and then it might be a good long if you were a SPY trader. I'm not. I trade individual stocks because they move better, and it's easier for me to gauge the crowd based on the headline and then the price action, reading the tape and all that stuff. So that's sort of my preference. But certainly coming down to an area that the SPY, if you believe in moving averages, to an area that the SPY has held pretty darn well for like almost a year, right? Anyway, a couple highlights from today. I mentioned BLU this morning. If you watch my videos, you know this was on watch coming. I'll take today's candle out of it. I had it on watch because of its strength yesterday, and then today it ended up gapping up. So it traded for about 15-20 minutes, and I called opening range breakout. I said there's really no next catalyst above, but you have what falls into the category of a recent high flyer, especially after the sell-off yesterday, and it ended up ripping higher. You had some shorts in trouble, right? Then it sold off near the end of the day. Today gaps up, sells off again. I think that probably sucked in some more shorts. So the opening range breakout to me over 530 made sense, and it went pretty quickly to 634. That's a neat little day trade. A lot of people in chat got that, so nice job on that one. And I know that Wayne called IRNT through 21 right here, just a second mouse, and it went pretty quickly to 2240 before coming back to the entry. That's a nice little trade also. I don't remember if somebody called it later in the day, back second mouse through 22. I kind of think Wayne did, but the stop was all the way down here. It didn't stop out. I'm not the personality to hold through all this choppiness though, so I never got involved in it that time, but it ended up having a nice move. And I was thinking I'm going to put this on the watch list for tomorrow because you had this crazy run, then a sell-off, then a nice pop, and now a lower high, and it's really possibly close to a squeeze point. But then I realized in after hours they came out with earnings, and right now it's trading at 21.39. So I like the chart a lot less knowing that, so I'm not even going to put it on watch for tomorrow. So what are we watching for tomorrow? LIFE had the big rip, and then today a gap and sold off. We've seen this before. It's always tough to say who's winning here, right? Because you got a lot of bulls here, and then all the bulls from today are underwater. All the bulls from yesterday pretty much, green or right at break even if they chased and bought it at the close. Anyway, long story short, and I'm a day trader, so I don't even really get myself in the mindset of someone holding overnight because I don't do it. But what we have here is as simple as a stock that's in play, right? Crazy volume the last couple days. 3 days ago, this closed at 548. So anyway you slice it, it's still 9. It's still a huge move. And you've got it kind of, I don't know, you call it equilibrium. It closed about the same spot in the last 2 days. As a day trader, let me simplify this. As a day trader, because of its recent action, I'm going to watch it. OCGN, excuse me, had the kind of breakout yesterday on decent volume. Today, lower volume and an inside day. I'm looking for a third day play there. You could maybe attribute today's weakness to the overall market. I think the Dow was down 300 points today. So normally when they pop like this and almost round trip, I just leave them alone. But that's still, to me, because of the market weakness, still valid for a potential third day play. RKLB just goes back on bounce watch. No trade in it today, but it's a recent high flyer, and now you got 3 days lower on declining volume. Pretty good setup for a bounce tomorrow. GEVO, I'm not in love. This one's almost round tripped, and I said on the day that GEVO was ripping that this almost never happens with GEVO. Well, took a few days to round trip. This thing just never holds its gains. But I am going to watch it for one more day because we switched to 15-minute candles. Here's the big day. There's the next day. There's the next day. There's the early high was 701. It never broke it that day. And then today topped out at 707, but never broke the early high. So I always look at the early highs on something that's a recent high flyer. So here's today's, here's yesterday's, here's the day after the big move. and it never broke the early high in the afternoon. So I'm going to give it a chance to do that. Maybe it'll do it tomorrow, and maybe we'll get a good trade. Apple, I'm just putting back on bounce watch. You know, you got the SPY down a few days in a row, nearing the 50-day. Well, you basically have the same thing with Apple, and also you look to the left. You do have a lot of price action in this area, so it's a good spot for a potential bounce. They had one of their investor days or whatever you call them today, and it didn't impress anybody, I guess. But anyway, it's still on bounce watch for tomorrow. BBIG, another one that I would simplify it. Recent high flyer, 3 days in a row down to right in the middle of that buy zone we like, between the 8 and the 20. So that one's a good setup for a potential bounce. We'll see if it gives us an A+ setup tomorrow. EFTR, another recent high flyer. Some red days, a couple nasty red days after it was 34 yesterday, but down to that kind of buy zone. That one goes on bounce watch for tomorrow. Weber Grills recently came public. Well, it's down like 7 days in a row to hit new all-time lows today. A lot of times, that's an area where you'll get a bounce the next day. So I am going to watch. It's overdue for a bounce anyway. And who doesn't love barbecue, right? ATER. You see the theme here. Another simple recent high flyer. Now you have one kind of nasty day, right? Yesterday it topped out at 1910, and today almost cut in half, right? Down from the highs, I mean, down to under 11. I would prefer to see a couple slower days to get down to this area, but anyway, it's pretty beaten up, and it's a recent high flyer. So if we can get a narrow range for a while tomorrow, and then a breakout, I'd love an afternoon high of day break. We could get a nice little mini squeeze bounce, so that one goes on watch. JCS, just a big breakout today. I think they announced a one-time special dividend, if I'm not mistaken. Hat tip to John MC in chat. Very close to the end of the day, he said it looks like JCS will be the one to watch in after hours. It closed at 941. It's trading over 10 right now. And really, right when the closing bell hit, it kind of broke through 950 and went. So that was a neat little post by John MC. I'm going to watch that for a follow-through day tomorrow. IRTC had the big pop yesterday. Quiet inside day today. Looking for a third-day play. ANGI, kind of a little mini breakout on a weekday. And it's also worth noting, kind of barely breached the whole number 12. That one goes on long watch for tomorrow. See if it gets a follow-through day setup. OPAD is absolutely whippy as hell, so be careful if you trade it. But it had this crazy move back here, and then the bottom fell out. Well, it seems to be already finding buyers again. But I can't caution you enough on this one. It's a nasty stock. I like to have one, like what you call a stupid spec play, right? With the stock that trades almost stupid on watch if I can each day. That's that one. This one might be in the same category. OG had the big rip here. Gap down, sold off, and next thing you know, it's to new recent highs again. That's impressive action. It is worth noting today's volume was only a little over 1 million shares. But that's a strong close. I think that one's worth going, putting on watch. And then lastly, I'm going to watch WKSP, which had a nice volume spike today. And you had a spike back here that topped out at 676. Today's high 620 before closing at 588. Nice volume. It's a thin stock, so I don't know if that one will get any volume tomorrow or not, but I'm going to keep it on a chart too. We'll add some gappers to this list in the pre-market as well, and I'm going to leave it at that. That's a big list for a weak market, but a week meaning the last few days anyway, but we'll see. I do love bounce plays. Hopefully a couple of these will give us an A+ setup, and I'm done babbling. See you in chat.